Hey everyone, it's Joric. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Please, if you're interested in the videos I produce, click subscribe. Would love to get more subscribers in on the channel, making comments, hopefully forwarding videos to family or friends that are thinking about going to Portugal or moving, traveling around the world. I also make travel videos. Most of my shorts are travel related. Today's topic is the election, which is coming up in about a week now from the time of posting this video. And I'd like to get your feedback in the comments of who do you think is going to win the election? And how do you think it will play out coalition-wise? Because historically speaking, it's rare that there is a majority that wins in a Portuguese election. So I'm just wondering, those of you that follow this, I don't spend a lot of time, and I've said it even when we were living in Portugal, I didn't spend a lot of time looking at politics or reviewing it. But as I'm asking that question, let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to win? What type of coalition will be put in place? I wanted to, as I'm speaking to you, just show you some from the Portugal News, not necessarily the best publication, but some of the positions that the leading parties have, mostly as it comes to immigration, if they are on the record for what they want to maybe do with citizenship or changes that they may want to make to immigration that may or may not impact you depending on what type of visa that you're on. But I am very curious to hear what your thoughts are, because this will be the third election that will take place in essentially 3 years. And that is becoming more common in Portugal. And we were there for 2 of these. And it seems like as this process happens that it almost seems like the same parties win. It may just be off by a percentage or 2 of the votes, so they may gain or lose some seats along the way. But it's the same people, for the most part, that have been in power. Even though they're not, Portugal's not a 2-party system, much like the United States here. As much as we say we have other parties, it's really a conservative party and a liberal party. In Portugal, there's a ton of parties, but there's been a couple that have held power for much of the last 50 years. And just looking at what some of the pundits have said and reading through several news articles, and then watched a couple of television shows last night, which prompted me to make this video and ask the question of you, of who do you think is going to win. It seemed like many of the experts, or so-called experts, the pundits, were saying that they felt like Luis Montenegro would again be the prime minister. Means that the Aliança Democrática coalition, which is the PSD party, and the CDS/PP party, I believe I have that correct, kind of a center-right alliance, that most likely they'll end up winning, but probably not by a majority. So there has to be some sort of a coalition of the other parties. And what I'm curious about is when we were there, Chega, a relatively new party, came onto the scene and got a lot of votes early on, and I think they were looking to shake things up. I don't know if that's good or bad, but even when I was making videos, as much as I stayed away from politics when it came to making immigration videos, there were some people that were very pro Chega and saying that immigration needs to change. People like us who were, regardless, we were on a work visa, but those people on a D7 visa or a D8 digital nomad, as that was coming into play, Portugal should change the rules and change up how they handle immigration. And I think many people thought that the Chega might be beneficial to them. But I also had other people going, Chega is not going to be helpful. They're going to do more harm than good. I don't know that to be true, so I would love you, those of you that know much more about Portuguese politics, to give me some insight on how do you think this election will play out. And then again, how or what will happen this time around that there won't be another election in another year, meaning will there be some point where there'll be some consistency and that so the coalition in power, Prime Minister has just more of a runway and more time to be able to produce the agenda that the party's looking to have done, as opposed to, well, we're in, but now within a year we're going to have another election of some sort. I am very curious about that. Those of you that do follow politics and Portuguese politics, I am curious if you could comment what will change or what type of consistency will happen or do you see happening with this election? Or do you feel like this election will happen and in another 12 months there's going to be another election? I'm curious. I don't know what to make of what I read because and the reason I say that is I don't spend a lot of time and didn't spend a lot of time delving into Portuguese politics. So I'm really leaving it up to those of you that subscribe or those of you that follow the channel and comment to give us some expertise from your angle, because I have zero expertise on this matter and I have zero opinion. I have no educated thought when it comes to this. I'd love to say, here's my opinion and here's why I think things are going to play out the way they play out. But it seems like in listening to the quote unquote experts, they feel like Montenegro will be prime minister and be able to maybe have a longer run at things as opposed to having just this constant state of election or some uncertainty. But I'd really like to know, and also for some of you that watch the channel that are thinking about moving to Portugal, does this play a factor at all in your move of annual elections? Does that get you upset, or does that get you maybe frightened off about moving to Portugal, or is that something that you don't necessarily worry about? I'm curious to get your thoughts. When we lived there, and again, going through a couple of elections, we didn't feel like it impacted us at all, even though there might have been a different thought on immigration, as it were. We were there on work visas, so it was I don't know, we felt like it didn't impact our lives whatsoever, either in a good way or a bad way. It was just, Portugal moves on, and it didn't seem to matter to us who was in power, who the prime minister was, or which party had more say in the matter or more seats. It didn't make a difference to us whatsoever, and we didn't necessarily feel any impact at all. But I'm wondering, for those of you that have lived through some of these elections as well, have you felt differently about things? So it's really asking a bunch of questions of you, as you can tell from the video. Hopefully some of this will get some good discussion going for those of you that enjoy politics or know much more about how Portuguese politics operates. Would love to get your information, because I'd love to learn more from you on what's going on and what you think is going to happen next week with the election. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the channel, and enjoy your travels.